Are you having little to no productivity lately? One possible reason could be your low vitamin D levels. This explains why people who lack this vitamin often feel tired. Vitamin D is an essential and unique vitamin that unfortunately a lot of people don't get enough of. Certain foods like fish, dairy, and fortified cereal have vitamin D. That said, the sun remains to be the best source. And so, if you want to increase your productivity, heck, even triple it, then it's simple. Get enough sunlight every day. Easy, huh? Well, not so fast. Some factors affect sun exposure and vitamin D production, including skin color and time of day. Keep watching to know the full details. Vitamin D and productivity. First off, you might still be wondering how a video about boosting one's productivity became a lesson about vitamin D. According to studies, employees who had low vitamin D levels were unable to perform their tasks and duties at work because they experienced low energy levels and poor concentration. Additionally, chronically unproductive employees are likely to become stressed, frustrated, or angry. Before, vitamin D's primary importance revolved around calcium absorption and bone health. However, recent research has shown that vitamin D has a much bigger role on the human body, particularly on energy levels and overall health. In conclusion, researchers agree that having optimal vitamin D levels is just as important for blue-collar workers as it is for promoting optimum functioning of employees, regardless of their job demands. The role of vitamin D in one's health. Vitamin D has many vital roles in the body and is essential for optimal health. Without enough vitamin D, it can have adverse impacts on the way you feel and how well you perform. It's why this vitamin is especially crucial for athletes. In particular, vitamin D helps to help boost bone health along with the help of calcium, regulate the immune system and protect against certain diseases, increase muscle mass and strength, increase the size and number of muscle fibers, help build strength in your legs, improve lower body strength, prevent falls. The recommended daily intake is 600 IU, but if your vitamin D levels are low, you may need more than that. This is where the sunlight comes in. It's the most natural way to get your body to create vitamin D and amplify your productivity. You don't have to get tanned or burned to get vitamin D from the sun. In fact, doing that would be overkill and risky as too much sunlight comes with its own health risks, which we will be getting into later on. Having said that, coming up next are the ways to safely get vitamin D from sunlight. Real quick, hit that like button and let's get back into it. How to maximize vitamin D production. It doesn't take a lot of time to get adequate vitamin D from the sun. However, there are a lot of factors that affect ultraviolet B exposure and vitamin D production. And to get the most out of the sunlight's vitamin D, you must understand these factors, which are as follows. Number 1, time of day. The best time for sun exposure is midday, especially during the summer. The sun is at its highest point at noon. It also is when UVB rays are most intense. Thus, you'll need less time in the sun to get enough vitamin D. Moreover, many studies claim that the body is most efficient at creating vitamin D at noon. For instance, in the United Kingdom, noon sunlight exposure in summer thrice a week is sufficient to maintain enough levels among Caucasian adults. Besides the greater efficiency of midday sun exposure, this might also be a safer time to get some sun than later in the day. Based on one study, afternoon sun exposure may increase the risk of skin cancers. Number 2, amount of skin exposed. Sunshine vitamin is made from cholesterol in the skin. Therefore, you must expose a lot of your skin to sunlight for your body to manufacture enough. It's recommended by some scientists to expose about 1/3 of your skin to the sun. For example, this can mean wearing a tank top and shorts for 10 to 30 minutes 3 times a week during summer. Such a method is typically sufficient for people with lighter skin. On the other hand, people with darker skin may need a bit longer than this. And while we're on the subject, find out next why the color of the skin tone matters. Number 3, skin color. Melanin is a natural pigment in the body that protects the skin from UV damage. As a result, people with more melanin, as in those with darker skin tones, tend to produce less vitamin D through sun exposure. In essence, this means that pale-skinned people produce vitamin D more quickly than darker-skinned people. Skin color is generally classified into 6 categories. Type 1, white, very fair, red or blonde hair, blue eyes, freckles. Type 2, white, fair, red or blonde hair, blue, hazel, or green eyes. Type 3, cream white. Fair with any eye or hair color, very common. Type 4, brown, typical Mediterranean Caucasian skin. Type 5, dark brown, Mid-Eastern skin types. Type 6, black. When it comes to vitamin D production, individuals with skin types 1 to 3 produce vitamin D more quickly than individuals with skin type 4 to 6. The general rule of getting your recommended amount of vitamin D is to stay in the sun for half the time it takes your skin to turn pink or burn, after which cover up and get under the shade. This should give you all the vitamin D your body needs without increasing the risk of skin cancer. A dark-skinned person, however, might need 10 times more sun exposure, probably a couple of hours, to manufacture the same amount of vitamin D as a lighter-skinned person. Number 4, geographic location. People located in countries farther away from the equator make less vitamin D in their skin. This is because more of the sun's rays in such areas are absorbed by the ozone layer. So if you're living in a place far from the equator, you'll likely need to spend more time in the sun to produce enough. Number 5, duration. It's recommended to get more than 90% of our vitamin D through daily sun exposure. According to health experts, between 10 to 30 minutes of sun exposure to unprotected body parts like the face, arms, legs, or back 2 to 3 times a week is enough for the body to create all the vitamin D3 it needs. Number 6, sunscreen. Sunscreen is used to protect the skin against sunburns and skin cancer. It does this by using chemicals that either reflect, absorb, or scatter sunlight. As such, the skin gets lower levels of harmful UV rays. But since UVB rays are needed to make vitamin D, you should do away with sunscreen. Some studies have even estimated that sunscreens of SPF 30 or more lessen the vitamin D production in the body by around 95 to 98%. Number 7, season. For Americans, their sunshine vitamin levels vary throughout the year, with the peak being in August and then receding around February. In general, during winter months, vitamin D levels are at their lowest. Meanwhile, the summer, in which the angle of the sun hits the atmosphere, is the best for vitamin D production, since more UVB rays can reach the areas far away from the equator. As we've established already, sunlight is great for vitamin D production. However, too much of it can also pose health risks like sunburns and eye damage, to name a few. Learn about them and the rest here. The dangers of too much sun. Sunburn. This is the most common harmful effect of prolonged exposure to the sun. Symptoms include redness, swelling, pain, or tenderness, and blisters. Aging skin. Too much sunlight can also cause the skin to age faster. Consequently, some develop more wrinkled, loose, or leathery skin. Eye damage. The retina can also sustain damage from long-term UV exposure. In turn, it can increase the risk of eye diseases like cataracts. Skin changes. Moles and freckles are the 2 most common skin changes of too much sunlight exposure. Heat stroke, otherwise known as sunstroke. This condition happens when the body's core temperature goes up due to excess heat or sun exposure. Skin cancer. As many of you already know, too much UV light is a major cause of skin cancers. Still not convinced about the importance of vitamin D in our health? Click here to see what happens to the body when it lacks vitamin D. You'd be surprised by how common the symptoms of vitamin D deficiency are.